Too long didn't read. The Democrats have been illegally supplying Iran's nuclear program since 2009. Barack Obama, John Kerry, and Hillary Clinton have all benefited financially from it. Hillary Clinton has ties to the mining commodity trading industry through her old criminal pal Mark Rich. Through Rich's company Glencore, Hillary Clinton can be tied to terrorism, the drug trade, Iran's nuclear program, North Korea, and even apartheid South Africa. Everyone largely believes that Hillary Clinton is corrupt, even her supporters. I believe so too, but I believe it's in a different vein of corruption. I believe there is a long-running criminal conspiracy in our government that dates back to the 1970s in its origin and continues to this day. In order to prove that point, I need to answer a few questions. Who is Mark Rich? Mark Rich was born December 18, 1934, and died on June 26, 2013. He was a businessman. His focus was in banking and trade commodities. Rich founded the commodities trading giant Glencore. Today, it's the world's third largest family business and the 10th largest company on the Fortune Global 500 list. It has headquarters in Switzerland, London, the Netherlands, and Jersey, as well as subsidiaries all around the globe. Without a doubt, its primary interests are oil, gas, and mining. Mark Rich was indicted in the United States in 1983 and fled the country. What did Mark Rich do? Rich and Green were indicted on 65 criminal counts, including tax evasion, wire fraud, racketeering, and trading with Iran during the 1973 to 1974 oil embargo, when Rich used contacts in Iran and Iraq to circumvent the sanctions. And to his biographer, Daniel Aman, Rich said his most important and most profitable business deals happened by violating international trade embargoes and doing business with the apartheid regime of South Africa. Rich admitted to doing business with apartheid South Africa, Fidel Castro's Cuba, Marxist Angola, the Nicaraguan Sandinistas, Gaddafi's Libya, Ceausescu's Romania, and Pinochet's Chile. Rich was also believed to be involved with the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, a bank which was closed down for laundering money for people such as Saddam Hussein, Manuel Noriega, and Medellin cartel, and the Abu Nidal. Rich was even reported to have been involved in arms deals in Iraq in the 1980s. Okay, that's who Mark Rich was, but why is that important? Mark Rich was pardoned by President Bill Clinton on January 20th, 2001, hours before leaving office, in what the New York Times would call one of history's most flagrant abuses of presidential power. Why was Rich's pardon so bad? Long story short, Rich bought his pardon. Rich funneled $1 million to the Democratic Party, including more than $100,000 to Hillary Clinton's Senate campaign in New York, and $450,000 to the Clinton Library Foundation. It was arguably the most controversial moment of Clinton's presidency. He went on to defend it, even citing the arguments of another controversial pardon receiver, one Scooter Libby. Then Deputy Attorney General Eric Holder argued for Rich's pardon. Eric Holder was Obama's first Attorney General. The pardon of Mark Rich was so controversial, there was a federal hearing on it. It was originally prosecuted by federal prosecutor Mary Jo White, but she stepped down and was replaced by the current director of the FBI, James Comey, who ultimately found no evidence of criminal activity. The Clinton pardons and drug ties of people involved. Mark Rich had long-standing ties to terrorist organizations and the drug trade. For a moment, I want to focus on the latter. Clinton considered pardoning a known drug trafficker after a man, one Tommy Gambino, approached Clinton's brother Roger Clinton on a golf course, handed him a Rolex watch, and had a conversation about persuading his brother to do so. Roger Clinton's efforts to get Rosario Gambino pardoned were so persistent the FBI investigated them. Roger has a long history of involvement in cocaine, but Roger also received a pardon for cocaine conviction. Hugh Rodham, Hillary Clinton's brother, received $434,000 to lobby for a pardon of a cocaine trafficker, and he did so successfully. Now, some may say it's disingenuous to say Eric Holder has drug ties, but he is tied to the late Mark Rich, and we should all remember the time he helped facilitate the transfer of firearms to Mexican drug cartels, more commonly known as Operation Fast and Furious. Current FBI Director James Comey sat on the board of banking giant HSBC, the same banking giant that launders drug cartel money, and has been caught, charged, and fined for doing so. HSBC also is responsible for many of Glencore's investments. Again, Glencore was founded by the criminal Mark Rich, who paid for a pardon by former President Bill Clinton, a pardon which was investigated by James Comey, who sat on the board of HSBC, which laundered drug cartel money and did business with a company that worked intimately with drug traffickers. Comey found no evidence of criminal activity. Okay, so Glencore, the Clintons, HSBC, the director of the FBI are somehow all linked to each other and to drug cartels. So what? Where does this lead? Okay, now this is where things begin to get a little technical, and more questions have to be answered. Who is John Podesta? And what is Juul Unlimited? John Podesta is the chairman of the 2016 Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, and he was also the counselor to the president for Barack Obama, the White House chief of staff for Bill Clinton, and he also owns 75,000 shares of an energy company known as Juul Unlimited Technologies Incorporated. Who or what is Juul Unlimited Technologies Incorporated? I'm glad you asked. Juul Unlimited is another commodities trading giant founded by Nubar Afeyan and has a certain Russian politician on its board, one Anatoly Chubais. Chubais, of course, being a Russian politician, works for Vladimir Putin. Chubais actually invited Putin to St. Petersburg in 1996. Juul Unlimited partners with Audi, which is owned by Volkswagen. Let's talk terrorism. Volkswagen, via its stakeholders in Qatar, is intimately tied with, that's right, none other than Glencore. Saudi billionaire Prince Al Walid, remember the one that was mean to Trump, invested $400 million into Glencore's IPO in 2011. Why are the Saudis, Qatar, and the Democrats interested in Glencore? Short answer, terrorism and money. Long answer, terrorism and money. Glencore is a trading company. They trade lots of things. Once Gaddafi fell, they began trading Libyan oil again. They trade Yemeni oil. They trade Iraqi oil. Once the Iran deal was hitched, they began trading Iranian copper. In 2012 and 2013, they were caught trading aluminum to Iran's nuclear program, which was against international law at the time. And as time reads, government policy since 2008, what happened in 2008? Has made it so Glencore could sit back and make easy money. WikiLeaks has shown us that Saudi Arabia and Qatar, Glencore investors tied to Juul Unlimited and John Podesta, and thus in multiple directions, James Comey, the Clintons, and the Democrats, fund ISIS. And Qatar gave Bill Clinton $1 million for a 5-minute meeting in 2011. $1 million for a 5-minute meeting in 2011. Didn't Gaddafi fall in 2011? Didn't Saudi Arabia invest $400 million into Glencore in 2011? Didn't Glencore begin trading Libyan oil in 2011? Yes, 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 yes. Does it go deeper? See above. What's that? Glencore's tied to the Keystone Pipeline? Okay, let's slow down and take a step back. So Glencore is evil. But what does that really have to do with Hillary Clinton? Where's the connection? Right under our noses. Goldman Sachs, Glencore, and Tony Rodham, weird how they're all tied to Hillary, have shady mining deals. Glencore is still working with North Korea. They're trying to have an aluminum monopoly in the United States and have been busted selling aluminum to the Iranian nuclear program. Are they funding the North Korean one as well? Glencore's Chinese section, Xstrata, has deep ties to heavy metal mining and North Korea, including aluminum and nickel. Glencore also benefits from trading Sudanese oil. They sure have no problem showing up where human rights violations occurred. Glencore gets mining contracts in North Korea via China and gets to sell food futures to North Korea via the United Nations. It's amazing how centered around Glencore the world's elite actually are. The success of Glencore is directly tied to the success of the Chinese government. Notice how it's Trump that wants to be tougher on China and constantly warns about an international conspiracy of bankers, corporations, and elites. Okay, so for years, Glencore has been benefiting from Hillary's foreign policy. But how does Hillary benefit from Glencore? Let's move to Canada for a bit, shall we? The Canadian branch of the Clintons, which accepts money from the same mining industry the Clintons have been linked to, the same mining industry benefiting from all of Hillary's and Bill's foreign policy blunders over the years, would not be excluded, and certainly have not been so far from being tied to her. The Clinton enterprise has secret donors, which are largely from the mining commodity industry, which has been the beneficiary of all of Clinton's actions. The Clinton Enterprise charity has extremely high costs with extremely low return. It seems like a great way to launder money into yourself, doesn't it? Giustra, a mining billionaire, sources donations in Canada from his crooked friends for crooked Hillary. There you have it. A massive money laundering scheme spanning from the United States to Asia to the Middle East and back to Canada in order for the Clintons and their pals to get around international law. In other words, Glencore.